From coast to coast and right here over the airwaves, you're listening to WPSL Talk. Covering WPSL Pro, this is the place for real conversations, engaging interviews and personal perspectives on the topics that matter. Joining you is your host, BarbaraJ.
Hello and welcome to WPSL Talk. I am your host, BarbaraJ. Today on the show, we'll have our first player spotlight with Nicole Sweeney, Gabby Marte, and Juelle Love. Also on the show, we'll have Pathway to Pro, Legacy and Pioneers, and my personal perspective. So let's start out with Pathway to Pro. Professional success isn't just about raw talent. It's about the grind, the preparation, and the willingness to test your skills before the bright lights turn on. We are digging deep into the Pathway to Pro, highlighting 3 athletes who use the WPSL as the essential bridge to the NWSL. First, let's talk about Yasmin Ryan. Before she was a standout across the NWSL, including stints with the Portland Thorns, Gotham FC, the Houston Dash, and now the Denver Summit, Yasmin built her foundation with Oklahoma City FC in the WPSL. It was here that she developed her tactical versatility, learning to dictate play as an attacking midfielder against seasoned adult competition. That experience was her proving ground. By testing her skills in the WPSL, she proved she had the vision and physical maturity to dominate at the professional level, eventually becoming a 2-time NWSL champion. Next, we look at Rose Lavelle. Long before she was a household name and a creative force for the U.S. women's national team, Rose was refining her technical wizardry in the WPSL. Her time in the league was crucial for developing close control skills and creative passing lanes that have become her trademark. She used that environment to experiment and grow, eventually launching her professional career with the Boston Breakers in the NWSL. Her path from the WPSL to clubs like the Washington Spirit, OL Reign, and Gotham FC is the perfect example of how to level the playing field through consistent technical growth. Finally, we spotlight Allie Long, a 3-time NWSL champion with the Portland Thorns, Gotham FC, and the Washington Spirit. Allie's roots are deeply tied to the WPSL, where she played for the Long Island Fury. The league was instrumental in her early development, offering her the high-level match minutes she needed to transition into the professional ranks. Whether she was playing for the Portland Thorns or Gotham FC, the foundation she built in the Fury's midfield gave her the tactical intelligence to command the game. She didn't just play, she used those summers between college seasons to master the nuances of the game, allowing her to own that field at the highest levels of the NWSL. Yasmin, Rose, and Allie. 3 different stories, 1 common thread. They didn't just wait for an opportunity, they went out and built their own pathways. Whether you're competing in the WPSL right now or aiming for that NWSL draft, remember that your current pitch is your laboratory. Keep sharpening your skills, keep learning the game, and keep showing the world why you belong. So let's now talk about legacy and pioneers. We're going to step off the current pitch to look at where we've been. And we often talk about leveling the playing field for our modern athletes, but we aren't just building from scratch. We are the inheritors of a legacy forged in struggle. So today, in our Legacy and Pioneers segment, we honor the women who didn't have the stadiums or the professional contracts, but they had the game, and they refused to give it up. Let's talk about a moment that still echoes today. Did you ever hear about Boxing Day 1920 that took place in Liverpool at Goodison Park? Over 53,000 53,000 spectators packed the stands, and thousands more were even locked out just trying to get a glimpse from the gates. On the pitch, the team everyone came to see was the Dick Kerr ladies. They were a works team from a munitions factory in Preston, which they were named after the company founders, John Dick and John Kerr. These women spent their weeks building essential equipment and their weekends demonstrating pure athletic dominance. That day, they faced off against their biggest rivals, the St. Helens ladies. And here's the kicker. It wasn't a perfectly orchestrated day. Their star striker, Florrie Redford, actually missed her train to Liverpool. The team didn't even blink. They adjusted. They put Alice Kell up top, and she went on to score a hat trick in a 4-0 victory. This is a reminder that even legends have to adapt on the fly. They were fast, they were physical, and they played with the same kind of heart that reminds me of the athletes I see in the WPSL today. But that success terrified the powers that be. Just a year later, in 1921, the English Football Association banned women from playing on their pitches. They claimed that the game was unsuitable for females. They even tried to erase those 53,000 fans from the history books. But look at us now. When we focus on our skills and when we work to keep our game growing, we are continuing the fight those women started. We are the answer to that 1921 ban. We are the proof that you can't keep a resilient spirit off the field forever. So the next time you step onto the pitch, or the next time you're working to build your own legacy, remember the Dick Kerr ladies. Remember that they didn't have the support, they didn't have the contracts, and they certainly didn't have the welcome mat from the establishment. But they showed up, they adapted, and they made history anyway. That is the blueprint. That is the standard. We don't just play for ourselves. We carry the torch for every woman who fought for the right to play before us. We are the architects of the future, and we refuse to be sidelined. But it begs the question, what are you doing today to help ensure the next generation has even a clearer path than we did? And now for our first ever player spotlight on WPSL Talk. Today we are diving deep into the heartbeat of Philadelphia's pre-professional soccer scene with an exclusive look at 3 phenomenal athletes driving the historic inaugural run of Love City's FC in the WPSL. Whether you're a tactical nerd or just love an incredible sports journey, you will want to hear how these 3 powerhouses are rewriting the script for women's soccer in Philly. And here is who we are talking to today. Nicole Sweeney, the dangerous clinical forward who etched her name into club history by scoring the first ever goal for Love City FC, finishing tied for 9th in the entire league for goals scored this season. Gabby Marte, the rock-solid elite center back bringing world-class defensive grit and international composure straight from the Dominican Republic national team to the Philly backline. And finally, Juelle Love, the versatile, dynamic playmaker from the Puerto Rico national team who brings confidence, dominance, and grace to the midfield and front line as a true hometown hero. From clutch volleys and jaw-dropping comebacks against division rivals like Penn Fusion and SJEB FC, to balancing international duty with building a brand new club from the ground up, we are uncovering the stories behind the stats. So without further delay, please welcome Nicole, Gabby, and Juelle. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having us.
So we're going to jump right into the questions, and I'm going to go to Nicole first. Nicole, you scored the historic first goal in Love City FC history during your inaugural WPSL game against Kensington SC. What was going through your head when that ball hit the back of the net?
Well, not only was it our first game, but it was also our first home game. So putting the ball in the back of the net to tie it up, it really felt like I was putting Love City on the map in some ways. And honestly, our founder, Katie Van Aken, she's just put in so many years of like a lot of hard work and thought into establishing Love City, and she has such a great vision for growing women's soccer, for using it to transform the Philadelphia community. And so I felt like when I was putting the ball in the back of the net that I was just representing all of that, and I was really proud to do that for her and for the team and for Philly and our community.
This is wonderful. Finishing tied for 9th in WPSL league goals scored is an incredible achievement. Which goal from this season felt the most satisfying to execute?
I would say the most satisfying goal was probably the most recent one against PA Classics, which was in our division playoffs. Despite losing the game, the goal actually gave us a really early lead, and it was a very important game, a playoff game. And so I just felt like, unlike my other goals, it was an upper V shot. It wasn't just a clinical finish. And so I think that was most satisfying for those reasons. A lot of adrenaline.
So here we go. In the chaotic 3-3 draw against SJEB FC, South Jersey Elite Barons, you drew a critical 88-minute penalty under immense pressure, and then you blasted it home to tie the match. What goes through your mind when stepping up to take game-altering spot kick so late in the regulation game?
It was really late, and we were coming back from down behind. So I knew when I got that PK that I would have scored the goal otherwise, and so I knew when I stepped up to take it that I had to put it away. PKs have historically, I felt a lot of confidence taking, and so I was really determined that it needed to go in the net and that we weren't going to lose that game. And it put us up 3-2, or no, it tied us 2-2.
I'm pretty sure
there was 2 goals after that, though. There were after the 88th minute, there were still 2 more goals, I think.
So being a dangerous target forward often means dealing with tight physical marking. How do you adapt your playing style when facing a particularly aggressive center back?
Yeah, there's a lot of really dangerous players in this league. And against aggressive center backs, I know that I have to stay really strong and be a stable player of stability on our team. And when I expect pressure, I tell myself the options I have are either to keep the ball or to draw the foul. So I can keep the ball by either holding on to it as long as possible and playing it to someone on my team, but ideally I advance the play, so looking for another runner running through.
So the Mid-Atlantic Conference Colonial Division is highly competitive. Which defender you faced this year gave you the toughest challenge, and why was that?
You know, this question is pretty difficult, but I think one of the most challenging defenders I went up against this season was actually in our first game against Kensington Soccer Club. There was a right center back there who just was she was on me the entire game, and maybe it was just because it was our first game. She made my job really difficult, and she was up on my back. She was tight. It was a very physical game, and so it was a really challenging time. But that was also one of the games that I was able to score in, and it was against her that I beat it. So it was a great challenge, and I think it made me better for it.
So I want to go back to, you traveled a long way from your roots in San Jose to the soccer scene here in Philadelphia. How does it feel to be a key part of building the pre-professional foundation in a new city, and what does it mean to you to be a role model for the next generation of Philly players?
I came to Philly not knowing what to expect, and I've fallen in love with it for the last 3 years, and especially in working with youth and kids, that's part of my passion and my career path. And so being able to be a part of women's soccer and the growth of it as a role model for the kids and families that I work with, especially, it means the world to me. I was able to invite the families that I work with to our games. And my hope is that Love City can use this vision, and this is Katie Van Aken's vision, is to use the growth of our sport to transform our communities. And I think that's through community events, that's through football and bringing people together through it. It's really exciting. And even though I came so far away, I've come to know Philly as home for me.
You before the show, you were mentioning how you actually came to Philadelphia, going to school, getting, and then moving up to Philadelphia. Can you go into that more detail?
Absolutely. So I'm from San Jose, California originally, and I played at Santa Clara for 4 years. And during COVID, I got an extra year of eligibility, so I grad transferred to Temple University, knowing that I was moving to a big city, and I really wanted that. And I knew that Philadelphia, when we look at how health disparities are, they're everywhere in Philly, and that's part of I came to school to get a master's in public health and a master's in social work, so it was a 3-year program. And so I've really gotten to immerse myself in the communities here. And for that, I'm so grateful. For that reason, Philadelphia is home for me in the way that I've been able to be a part of the community-based work here.
So they just made a change, I believe, this year about the weather delay. And when the team faced a weather delay against Penn Fusion, how did the forward line maintain focus and momentum before securing the victory?
Yeah, that was a really challenging game. We were down at the weather delay, and we really wanted to win that game. We did not feel like we were deserving of a loss. And so the weather delay put us in a mindset of, okay, when we get back out there, we have to play to win. We got to score. The weather delay just kept getting extended, and that made it really challenging, I think, for the other team, who it was a late game already. It was a hot day, and I think they wanted to go home, and our coach, Michelle, was just really incredible at being our sounding board during that time and keeping our heads on straight and minds focused on scoring some goals and putting ourselves ahead. And we were lucky enough to get the chance to go back out on the field, and within a couple minutes, we scored. And so all props to Michelle and our forward and everybody on the team for keeping our heads focused.
That's great. Let's jump to Juelle. So you were named player of the match for your spectacular performance, generating consistent attack opportunities and factoring into 2 goals in the comeback win against Penn Fusion. How did you assess the game in real time to exploit their defensive flanks?
Yeah, Sweeney kind of hit it on the head. I think momentum was very key for us. We had the lightning delay, and for most team environments, that can be kind of hard to keep momentum going. But I think we came out of it very energized and just hungry to make us a game for us and for the fans. And we heard that the other team, they were already up before the lightning delay, so they had the incentive to just call the game, and that kind of added fuel to the fire. So we came out, first couple of plays were high energy, high pressing, and we really weren't allowing them to breathe. And it really felt like something was unfolding. And then I feel like us coming out hot, it was just a matter of time. So I think for me, I just trusted that feeling. And as the plays were unfolding, kind of recognized how high their line was and just kind of went for it, exploiting the space. And I think our team is just full of such relentless grit that it created so many dangerous opportunities throughout the whole season. And this game was just one of those examples.
So I was looking at one of the profiles that the league had, or actually the team had, and you mentioned wanting to exemplify confidence, dominance, and grace, very much like your role models, Crystal and Sydney. How do you weave those specific traits into your own playing style when the team needs a spark?
I think growing up watching Sydney LaRue and Crystal Dunn play, I just loved how daring they were, and to try to implement that into my own game. They were such hard-working players on top of just being prolific in their positions. And I think it was important for me because, they were unafraid to be themselves in a game where not many people look like them. So for me, I try to just be a powerful physical presence and just confident in my own abilities, as well as, trusting my teammates and hopefully, them trusting me. And for me, soccer is no fun if you're being rigid. So I really try to let my personality show in as many ways as possible, whether it's doing a move or scoring a goal or just being really happy that my teammates just scored. So I think those moments are just really great opportunities to show some flair I feel like Crystal Dunn and Sydney LaRue did in their careers.
Mm-hmm. So with your experience representing the Puerto Rico national team, what is the most significant tactical or mental trait you try to share with your teammates at Love City FC?
I think for me it was really important to just have pride in everything you do and just cherish one another. what's so beautiful about being called up for your country and representing your country is just representing something bigger than yourself. And so in the same ways when, you come together in this group and you're on different journeys, it's really key to make this single point in time so important because it's a shared experience and just being present in that. And I think also like getting rid of this perception of perfection. What's so fun about being in this Love City environment is that we're coming just to play summer soccer and get to train with each other. And, representing Puerto Rico, I think you can feel the pride just playing for your country and not get lost in like, oh, what went wrong, because it really makes you miss all the moments that went right.
Mm-hmm. So you have the versatility to play both in the midfield and at forward. How does playing behind the attacking line change your vision of the pitch versus when you are playing up top?
I'd say that there's probably more overlap, at least how I play for both positions, than not. I think you got to be like creative in both positions, to get the shots off as a forward or just to deliver the ball to the next line. And, having like the speed and creativity also lends to those positions and trying to create the space that you need for those key plays. But in the midfield, obviously and more so for me being on the flank, it's a little easier to see how a play might unfold than, who's making the next run, so that I could like potentially try to find them the next ball. But I think for me, for being a forward, it's really fun to test the back line and try to be as dynamic as possible and time the run, to break their line. So like Sweeney is really great at holding the ball up. I think for me, I really like to really test, how deep a line might hold their line and try to run past that and really test that. So I think there's a chance to be different and dynamic in different roles of that.
So you're passionate about empowering women in sports and helping them feel confident in any room they step into. How do you mentor or encourage younger players within the Love City Leadership Academy or on the pitch?
I try to just emphasize this. One of my favorite quotes is that comparison is the thief of joy. So I try to encourage these younger players to just be themselves and bring whatever individuality they have to the game, because that's why soccer is beautiful. It's a chance to express yourself, and there's these moments, there's this collection of just different backgrounds and experiences. So I think I try to have these players just enjoy the moment that they're in and not really, let comparison just take away that joy. And also that you can really empower these younger players to have their own voice and that you can learn from them as well. So I think letting them, encouraging them to have that confident leadership in themselves, and that, no matter your age, no matter your experience, you can really lend any expertise that you have and your experiences.
So as a Shipley School alumni, what does it mean to you to have your soccer journey come full circle and play pre-pro soccer right here in your hometown of Philadelphia?
It means a lot, actually. I mean, I think I don't think I could have ever imagined that we could have, competitive soccer in my backyard. And at that, with the World Cup also here in Philly too, it was amazing to really witness and, see soccer just growing in Philly. And like, even though I've had really good memories of club days, I had to travel outside of the city for more competitive soccer, which wasn't ideal, but I'm glad that this is a good sign of where things are heading, and I'm hopeful that it does grow into something more for pathways for younger players who don't have to make that same sacrifice. And like, I've grown up just a big fan of Philly sports in general, so like the Eagles and Sixers. So I love that women's soccer is getting its dues here, and it's obvious there's always been certified ballers here, so I just can't wait to see where it's heading. Like, it's really special to be a part of that. Like, in my dream world, it'd be nice to like storm Broad Street because women's soccer brought a championship here, but I don't know how far away we are from that.
So in a game where the opponent has a lot of possession, how does an attacking player stay patient and ready for that singular game-changing through ball?
It's definitely a high level of trust between me and my teammates to know that there will present itself a moment to really attack as one and not get so frustrated that, you may have to defend more than you'd like to attack. And just having that confidence in your own ability to read the game and be in these high pressure moments as possible, just knowing that it'll unfold how it needs. So you just need to be efficient in those moments and trust that letting it unfold and moving as one is really what helps. And then when you feel like it's impossible, you just got to understand that it just takes one moment to click on. And we've done it with Love City, where we've come back and, we felt like, oh, maybe this was the end of the game, but like we just keep going to the whistle's blown. It's a 90-minute game and not getting bogged down in, that, they've been possessing for a long time. And I think chemistry is key too. And that's something that Love City is like abundant in, thankfully. And I think, my teammates really motivated me to, more than anything, just kind of like run through a brick wall. So like, that foundation really carries in those moments where you may not have the ball a lot, but you can feel motivated enough to know you'll get that next moment.
So before we let you go, I wanted to look toward the future. You've all had an incredible historic run with Love City SC, but your journeys are far from over. What are your immediate plans next? Where do you see your soccer careers taking you from here, and what is the ultimate dream you're chasing?
Sure, I can answer to begin. I, have been so incredibly grateful for this opportunity to play for Love City, and it's really, ignited this passion to continue playing soccer. And for me, this is an opportunity to showcase what I have to offer to a team. And so I'm really hoping moving forward to be able to continue playing. And the dream would to continue playing abroad. Somewhere I would love an experience of getting to travel and getting to meet new people and just really gain new experiences through soccer. And for me, the dream would be to be somewhere like Spain or Portugal or anywhere that I can, just get uncomfortable and grow. I think that would be the dream for me, is to continue playing and just learn about myself and learn about the world.
That's wonderful.
That was beautiful, Sweeney. I agree with Sweeney that Love City represents something so much more on everyone's journey. And for me, I was coming back from a meniscus injury. And before that, I was playing professional in Mexico. So being in that scene already, I really cherished the connections I made in that experience. So it's been nice to be part of Love City because it reignited the love for the sport again in such a very unique and special way. And, making friends for life on this team. So for me, I want to continue building connections like that and really challenging myself and going to be back in the pro scene and, having those chances to grow. And as for like what immediately is to come, I have this Puerto Rico call up in the Central American and Caribbean games, which really excited to, play against some high quality teams. And I would love to continue doing my work with the Love City Leadership Academy, and we have some goals set in place for these girls that join that Leadership Academy, and then, just travel the world and really learn so much about different places. And then ultimately, it'd be nice to just lend my experiences and knowledge of the game and give back to the game that has given me so much. It's finding a way to do that and uplift like women's sports in general. That would be a dream.
That's awesome. Thank you all so much for taking the time to share your stories, insights, and passion with us today. I wanted to jump in and let you know that Gabby Marte will be part of the interview at a later time. Currently, she is playing in the Dominican Republic for her national team. Gabby will be returning early next month, and as soon as the interview is complete, I'll be putting it together in its entirety, and you'll be able to listen to where you listen to your favorite podcasts. Before I dive into my personal perspective segment, I'd like to read this for the listeners. WPSL Talk is an entirely independent media platform. While I am deeply passionate about covering WPSL Pro and showcasing its incredible athletes, teams, and news, this podcast is not officially affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by the league or its front office. The views, opinions, and analysis expressed on this show are strictly my own. When I look at the athletes across the league today, it takes me back to my own time playing for the Sacramento Sirens. At the time, I was 42 years old, and I'll be the first to tell you I wasn't the standout star. I wasn't the player everyone was talking about, but I was one of them who showed up, put in the work, and stayed in the fight. I think about my son, who watched me from the sidelines, and at the time, he was 16 years old. I wasn't the best player on the field, but he looked up to me anyway, not because of my stats, but because he saw how I pushed myself to remain resilient. That's why when I look at the game today, I'm not just focused on the scoreboard. I'm looking for the field that doesn't have any lines painted on it. Take a look at what's happening in our communities right now. When I see players stepping away from their training to run youth clinics, they aren't just teaching technique. They're teaching kids how to be confident under pressure. Or think about the players who go into local schools to read in the classrooms. Those moments where a player sits down with a student and shows them that an athlete's influence doesn't stop at the end of the game. Those interactions are powerful. They show a young fan that success isn't just about being the fastest or the most skilled. It's about how you show up for your team and your neighbors. When our athletes do this, they are leveling the playing field for the kids coming up behind them. They are showing the next generation that you don't have to be a superstar to have impact. You just have to be willing to own your environment right here, right now. That kind of legacy lasts longer than any season. I want to give a special thank you to Nicole Sweeney and Juelle Love for being on today's show for our very first Player Spotlight. I also want to give a shout out to Gabby Marte and best of luck playing with the Dominican Republic national team. Also, if there's any players or teams that would like to be on the show, please email me at BarbaraJ@WPSLTalk.com. WPSL Talk is played every third Thursday of every month. So, until then, stay strong, remain resilient, and own that field.